My name is Donald, and if you've ever been in a relationship where things suddenly fall apart, you'll want to stick around. You see, when most men hear their wives say, "I need space," they panic. If you ever find yourself in this situation, let me tell you one thing: you don't beg, you don't argue, you play it smart. So, let's start from the beginning. For 15 years, Genevieve and I had been married. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but I always believed we had a strong foundation. We had been through struggles, arguments, ups and downs, but at the end of the day, we were a team. Or at least, that's what I thought. Then, something changed. Our conversations grew shorter. She started staying up later than usual, her phone in hand, the screen lighting up her face in the dark. When I asked what she was doing, she would casually shrug and say, "Just scrolling or texting a friend." At first, I ignored it. Everyone deserves privacy, right? But the more I watched, the more I noticed. She started laughing at messages she wouldn't share with me. She guarded her phone, tilting the screen away, placing it face down on the table. Some nights, she'd get a text and, instead of replying right away, she'd pick up her phone and leave the room. That's when the uneasiness crept in. If you've been with someone long enough, you know when something feels off. I tried convincing myself I was overthinking it, that I was making a big deal out of nothing. But deep down, I knew better. Then one evening, she sat me down with a serious look on her face. I still remember that night. We had just finished dinner. She put her fork down, took a deep breath, and looked me straight in the eyes. "Donald, I need space to find myself." My brain processed the words instantly, but my body froze. No reaction, just a sinking feeling in my chest. But I didn't let it show. I nodded slowly, leaned back in my chair, and repeated, "Space, huh?" keeping my voice neutral, almost amused. I made sure not to sound angry or hurt, just mildly curious. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that the person who stays calm holds all the power. She hesitated, like she wasn't expecting me to take it so lightly. And that's when I knew this wasn't about needing time alone to think or some deep self-reflection. Something else was going on. My gut told me that much. And when your gut speaks, you listen. I asked her what she meant exactly. Did she need time alone in the house? Did she want to go somewhere? Was she feeling overwhelmed? She gave me vague, empty answers. Things like, "I just need to figure things out." Figure what out? I watched her closely. The way she avoided eye contact, the way she fidgeted with her fingers. Right then, I made a decision. I wasn't going to ask her 100 questions. She had already decided not to answer them. Instead, I was going to find out the truth myself. People say, trust your partner. I say, trust your instincts. And mine were screaming at me. So, in the days that followed, I started digging. Sometimes the truth isn't buried deep. It's just sitting there, waiting for someone to pay attention. First, I checked her phone records. Nothing crazy. Just a simple look to see if there was a recurring number. And sure enough, one stood out. Over and over again. Next, I checked her social media. I paid attention to the subtle things. Who was liking her posts, who was commenting. But more importantly, who was she suddenly following again? And that's when I saw it. A familiar name. A name I hadn't heard in years. Her high school boyfriend. The guy she dated before me. The one she used to talk about like some teenage love story that never got a proper ending. And there he was, back in her life. At first, I didn't panic. I told myself it could be innocent. Maybe they just reconnected. But then I saw the messages. The long conversations, the emojis, the just thinking about old times texts, the kind of messages that had no place in a married woman's inbox. I could have woken her up that second and demanded an explanation, but I didn't. I didn't say a word about what I found, because when someone tells you they need space, they've already taken it. They made their decision long before they said it out loud. They just want you to suffer so they can feel less guilty about it. But here's the thing. When a woman asks for space, she expects you to chase her. She expects you to call, to text, to show up with flowers, to ask what you can do to fix things. So I did the opposite. I gave her the space she asked for. If she didn't talk to me, I didn't talk to her. And when she did speak to me, I kept my responses short, polite but distant. No cold attitude, no passive aggression, just controlled indifference. And since I wasn't wasting my time begging for her attention, I focused on myself. First stop, the gym. I hit the weights harder than I had in years. Not to impress her, because it felt damn good to put my energy into something that actually benefited me. Then I upgraded my wardrobe, bought well-fitted clothes, threw out the old, worn-out stuff. She didn't even notice. Fresh haircut, clean shave. Every morning, I looked in the mirror and saw a man who wasn't waiting around to be chosen. But the best part? I rekindled my social life. I started going out with friends again, guys I hadn't seen in months, even years. Because I had spent so much time putting my marriage first, I had forgotten about myself. So I started saying yes instead of making excuses. When Friday night came, I wasn't sitting at home wondering where Genevieve was. I was out. You see, Genevieve had her little support system, her friends, the ones she vented to, the ones who told her she deserved to be happy. But those same women, they noticed a change in me real quick. When I ran into them, I wasn't the bitter, heartbroken husband they were expecting. I was confident, relaxed, unbothered. I cracked jokes, smiled more, and kept conversations light and engaging. And they noticed. At first, it was just a quick glance, a lingering smile, a casual, "Wow, Donald, you're looking good these days." Then it escalated. Compliments turned into curiosity. And you better believe she saw it too. Genevieve noticed the way her friends laughed at my jokes, how they lingered in conversations with me. At first, she enjoyed her so-called freedom. She convinced herself she had made the right choice, that she needed time to breathe, to explore, to figure things out. But the shift in dynamics didn't go unnoticed. And soon, her excitement turned into unease. She hadn't expected me to change. She thought I'd be sulking, waiting for her to come back, desperate to prove my worth. Instead, I flipped the script. I moved on with my life. And that got to her. The first signs of jealousy were subtle. Fleeting expressions she tried to hide, but I saw them. The way she tensed up when she caught her friends giggling around me, touching my arm as they laughed at my jokes. The way her best friend started acting extra nice, throwing compliments my way every chance she got. I wasn't doing anything special. I was just being me, but better. And it was working. Genevieve noticed, and that's when it hit her. She was losing me. The very thing she thought she wanted, distance, was now turning against her. She couldn't help herself. One evening, while I was casually sitting in the living room, she walked in and asked, "How was your day?" Just like that. Simple, casual, as if nothing had happened. I didn't give her what she was looking for. It was good. That's all I said. No details. No enthusiasm. Just a neutral response. I kept my tone light but distant, polite but uninterested. I wasn't mean. I wasn't rude. But I made sure she felt the change. She wasn't my priority anymore. I saw it in her face. She expected more. She thought I'd light up at the sound of her voice, eager to engage. But that's not how the game worked anymore. I was done playing on her terms. That moment, that was the beginning of her realization. A few days later, she tried again. But this time, she put in effort. She started talking to me more. Not just casual small talk, but real conversations. Asking about my plans, commenting on my appearance, dropping hints that she was noticing the new me. Then came the date night suggestion. We should go out sometime. Just us. Dinner, maybe. I knew what she was doing. She was trying to slip back in like nothing had happened. expecting me to jump at the chance. But I wasn't about to make it that easy. I played it cool. I nodded. Maybe. Let me check my schedule. That answer killed her. She expected me to agree immediately, to be relieved that she was finally coming back. Instead, she had to sit with uncertainty. The same uncertainty she had thrown my way when she asked for space. Then came the dressing up. She started wearing the outfits she knew I liked, fixing her hair, wearing perfume around the house. Little things, but they were obvious. She wasn't doing it for herself. She was doing it for my attention. And still I didn't bite. I was cool, composed, in control. It was only a matter of time before she cracked. And when she did, I made sure to remember every detail. One night, she finally said it. The words I knew were coming, but refused to drag out of her. She sat down, looked me straight in the eye, and admitted her mistake. I think I made a mistake. Her voice was softer now, uncertain. I don't need space. I need us. I leaned back, watching her, letting her words settle. Then I gave her the answer I had been waiting to say for months. I gave you space because you asked for it. But now, I'm not sure if I want to go back to how things were. Her face fell. That's when she knew. The power had shifted. I saw the regret in her eyes. She knew she had played herself. But at that point, it didn't matter anymore. I'm done. My voice was steady, certain. You wanted space, and I realized I deserved someone who never needed it in the first place. And just like that, it was over. I watched as she sat there, stunned, unable to process how the man she thought would always be waiting had slipped right through her fingers. The high school sweetheart? A joke, a distraction. He was never serious about her. Just an old flame, toying with her emotions, using her to relive the past before going back to his own life. The separation took months to finalize. But before everything was said and done, she confessed to me. I regret it. I regret all of it. But by then, I'd already moved on. I was already in a better place, with someone who actually valued what I had to offer. And she was left alone. So, what do you think? Was I wrong for handling it this way? Should I have taken her back after everything? Or was I right to move on? I know some people will say, "Man, you should have fought for your marriage." But let me ask you, fought for what? For a woman who was ready to toss me aside the second she thought she had a better option? A woman who only realized my worth when she saw other women appreciating me? That's not love. That's possession. She didn't want me. She just didn't want to lose me to someone else. And there's a huge difference. I'll tell you something I learned the hard way. When a woman says she needs space, she's already made up her mind. She just doesn't have the courage to tell you the full truth. She's not asking for space to think. She's asking for space to explore her options without feeling guilty about it. And the moment you start begging, pleading, or trying to convince her otherwise, she loses even more respect for you. Because now, you're confirming what she already suspects. That you're desperate, and that she can do better. Listen, fellas. If your woman ever hits you with that, "I need space" nonsense, do not chase her. Don't cry. Don't beg. Don't flood her phone with messages about how much you love her. That's exactly what she's expecting you to do. And the moment you do it, you make her decision easier. Instead, give her exactly what she's asking for, but on your terms. Pull back. Work on yourself. Hit the gym. Upgrade your wardrobe. Go out with friends. And make sure she sees you thriving without her. Let her feel the absence of the man she thought she could replace so easily. And here's the crazy part. Once she sees that other women are noticing you, that you're moving forward instead of waiting around, she'll start questioning everything. She'll wonder if she made a mistake. She'll feel that jealousy creeping in. And suddenly, she's the one chasing you. And when that happens, you decide if she's even worth taking back. At the end of the day, This is about self-respect. Don't let anyone treat you like a backup plan. Know your worth. And if someone needs to lose you to realize it, let them lose you for good. So tell me, what would you have done? Drop your thoughts in the comments.